Welcome to the weekend preview. We're previewing Rosehill tomorrow, and Gord, if you can find anything like you have Tuesday, Wednesday, and particularly yesterday at Randwick, our viewers will be mighty happy.
It's a great way to start the year, isn't it? Eh? It's just magnificent.
So there you were in your leather undies. You probably had an Australia Day flag.
You know what I was wearing?
Pillow?
I was wearing a shirt with the British flag on it, and somebody had a go at me, and I thought, well, it's got the Union Jack. We've got that on our flag, you know, it's kind of the same, isn't it?
That's right.
But I was in my undies with that t-shirt on, and I felt so comfortable betting on the races. It's just, yeah, when you get used to a certain way of betting, it's hard to give it up, isn't it? So,
right, but you're back on course at Rosehill tomorrow.
5 specials, 4 winners.
I know.
The filler.
I know, it was awesome. And let's take some of that form into a very good card at Rosehill tomorrow.
Right, yeah.
I should mention that Gold Ambition has found a Class 1 at Bathurst to run in today. Not only a Class 1, but a set weights Class 1. I'm surprised he's as long as $1.20.
Yeah, yes.
So he obviously won't be going around in race 7, but we're not sure whether Harper's Choice is going to elect to back up off the second placing behind Gord's sizzling special yesterday. Rosehill hasn't raced for 5 weeks, and I imagine they've probably stuck a few pins in the track, but not too much watering this week on account of a little bit of rain. RHIL is in the true position as it was at the last meeting 5 weeks ago, and it's pretty benign, Rosehill. There's not too many tricks to Rosehill, so I wouldn't suggest to go looking for any. We kick off with 2 very interesting 2-year-old races, the Canterbury and the Widden, and the Canterbury is first, and Minari, number 1, in race 1, is favourite at $2.10. $5 is Showtime, $5 the unraced Pariah, $8 Malahad, $10 Hualalai, and $26 Thy Kingdom Come. Hualalai was beaten at $1.30, and Glenn knows all about that. Beaten at $1.30 on debut, where he raced outside the lead. I imagine that Tim Clark sewels him to the front. Showtime with the blinkers on, first up at home, will certainly be on speed, and imagine Minari box seats here. Anything to look away from number 1 here, Gord?
Look, yeah, well, I'm going to be backing number 2, Showtime, probably, and that's just on suspicion that it's the best horse. And I'm getting
because it costs 1.1 million?
No, I'm actually going, you know, I make notes of everything Glenn says from the Mounting Yard Mail, and he spotted it as a horse with a lot of ability.
He was all over it, wasn't he? He said, this is the best type I've ever seen. And you know.
And a nice trial, not in good time, but it was reasonably stylish.
Without blinkers, if you didn't wear the blinkers in his trial.
Second prep, and what I've noticed with these really nice ones, sometimes they can't really give you their best first preparation, but they can springboard off that and be a lot better their second preparation. So purely on a price basis, because I admit that there's other dangers, I'll have number 2 Showtime on top, and we'll have something on it. Obviously 1 Minari is a good chance, and I didn't mind the trial of number 6 Pariah from the Snowden Yard.
Well, tell us about it.
Just looked impressive, and you know, it's always weird with Snowden because sometimes I deliberately don't watch the Snowden trials because I think sometimes you can get confused about it. So I still haven't made up my mind whether them winning the trial is a good thing or a bad thing. So there's
something you liked about the winning.
Yeah, there's something about the
I mean, he's taken it to Rosehill. It costs $700,000, so it's one of his project horses, obviously.
Yeah.
And is also hard in the market on account of that. So look, they're 2 great horses of interest there, 2 and 6. Number 1 has been to the races and done what he could do, comes home for his second start, and I don't know what Gay is doing with this. Like, why wouldn't she, for example, Hualalai, why wouldn't she give it a 10-50 metre trial and, like, you know, give it a good sounding out?
Because it's obviously they've got an opinion of the horse.
Well, I
wanted to see a bit more pressure put on because of the disappointment.
Well, it was like a track gallop there last time.
Yeah.
But you know, another horse of interest. Malahad. Well, where's Glenn? You know, we've lost Glenn and we've got C. Brown.
No, I know. He'd be so enjoying it, wouldn't he? Yeah.
That's right. Well, he will enjoy it tomorrow. He'll be on Brown. He'll be at Brown. Sorry, in the parade ring tomorrow. But Malahad seemed to... well, firstly, I don't have any opinion of that teaspoon race.
Yep,
and secondly, no intensity in its trial at all.
No intensity in its trial. The booking of Corey Brown. I mean, obviously, if you're going to go on a show horse in that particular race, well, I'm not interested. No interest.
Race 2.
It's funny. What 6-horse race? That's the only one I'm giving none.
Yeah, because even the John Thompson horse is, he's a bit of a scary trainer, John Thompson. He hides his horses really well. It's got gun on. Had an excuse on debut. Race 2 is the Widden, and again over the 1100, but twice the size of field, and certainly a wide race. $6 the debutante Divine Messenger, $6.50 the debut winner Teaspoon, who returns here, $7 Bourrouge, $7 Milanese Girl, $8 Sebring Express, and then we're out to $11 One More Honey, $14 down the bottom Sweet Deal, $15 Savatiano, and 20s and longer the others. Race that certainly did my head in here, Gord. There was just bits and pieces. Speed is a bit up for grabs. The Waller horse Milanese Girl has blinkers on from a middle gate. I imagine we'll press on. Gaze runner Mystic Empire drew it with the low draw, will push on. Teaspoon showed good speed on debut in a scuzzy sort of race. That's the obvious speed, and I imagine that Divine Messenger has some pace, the Tony Gollan trained filly, who, yet again, we see Tony Gollan, like, there he is in the betting.
Yeah, in the betting. I mean, it's interesting, and this is one of the horses where, I mean, I'm assuming it's been based in Sydney.
Yeah.
Its whole career. Had the 2 trials, looked pretty impressive, but yet again, it's just not a stable that I'm willing to get involved in at short odds. It's done nothing wrong, but I'm going to go for one of the more preeminent Sydney trainers to take this out. But I've got lots of question marks about them. I like the trial of the Snowden thing, Bourrouge.
Cost $750,000, so another project horse.
Gun booked. That's a chance, and
What do you make of the 1050 metre trial, which seemed a bit like? Was it just a? Don't bash it. Don't take too much out of it.
Well, it's Snowden again. Like, I'm always. I haven't formed an opinion on exactly how I'm going to handle Snowden horses in trials. So I'm more looking at style than times or.
Well, they're probably not going to run times. I mean, they're likely types, and you've just got to work them out as best you can.
And I was sort of half interested in what did you think of One More Honey? Like,
well, obviously she won long odds, but that was because the gay runner was $1.30. Did a good job. Has to be a chance here.
Just like freshen up trial, and if we've mentioned before, these first 2 races are quite indicative of the system, and that horses that have had a start seem to have a massive advantage over the unraced brigade. I mean, that's definitely been the trend so far this season. So I've got to give it a tick in that box as well.
Yeah, well, speaking of the other raced runners, Teaspoon gets Bowman, but M. Friedman is, it did win its debut, but it found the front, and shitbags from the Newnham stable raced outside, who's no talent. Milanese Girl started short price favourite in that race, and I thought, whilst she sort of found the line, I just don't know if she's got any talent, and her trial looked a bit.
Yeah, it didn't look much, and I'm that combination Waller and Berry.
Yeah. Sebring Express, Gord, an experienced horse that's been back to the trials, and it was a bit unlucky in its trial, and didn't have a lot of opportunity last time in the Inglis race. Prior to that, had run well twice. I can see her being some sort of player, but I mean, she's $8, so there's no spoil there.
Yeah, I'm with Dean Panya. I just want her on leaders, really. That's it. But admit the horse has a good chance.
Yeah, it's a slightly vexing race 2, not a race that I can get heavily involved in.
No.
And another race that's hard to get heavily involved in is race 3 over 1500, benchmark 90. Choice We Had, who is ever consistent, I must say, $3.60. $5 Invincible, $6 Dylan's Rojo, $6 Pipeline, back from the Gold Coast, from the Magic Millions Guineas, $7 Cawthon's Power, $8.50 Francesco, $21 Dances on Stars, and $41 Braces. Well, you know, a set of money munchers here. Dylan's Rojo, who Rob Scurry had a good interest in terms of the rant the other day. He flies solo here, leads. Pipeline, the 3-year-old, won't be too far away from his low draw. And either Cawthon's Power or Invincible I had doing some chasing.
All three of us weren't too keen on Dylan's Rojo when he asked the question. Geez, it's found a winnable race here, hasn't it? Bloody hell, talk about it. I mean, I probably won't bet in the race. I'm interested from a form perspective about Invincible, because that's going to have to be a Pollock bet, isn't it? You know, 12th of 12th, 11.2 lengths, and 9th of 13. Stable starting to go a little.
Didn't get beaten far enough ago.
No.
Your last start. Needs to have cardiac arrhythmia.
Schofield off from McAvoy on. It's ticking a lot of Pollock boxes. I'm surprised it came up so short in the market. But I suppose there's not much else in the race.
You know, where can you go? Let's examine the 3-year-old who's come up quite hard in the market. I'm not convinced of his form credentials, but I suppose he's got the flyweight with the booking of The Apprentice.
Yeah.
Obviously, couldn't do much at the Gold Coast, but his form lines are just. I would suggest they're just looking a touch tinny.
And we are always slightly against those that go away and come back for their next start.
Yeah, that's right. Centre Pivot went very well yesterday. Choice We Had, Gord, who is usually in the habit of drawing an inside gate, but I did have occasion to look at his record since he returned from that monster spell, and it's 1st of 9, 3rd of 10, 3rd of 13, 3rd of 12, 2nd of 11, 1st of 12, and then he went back in distance to 5th of 12, and then 4th of 13, and he really wasn't given much opportunity up the inside there the other day. I can see the appeal.
I can't see that price. It's the kind of horse with the racing pattern for me that I want over a particular price if I'm ever going to back it. So I'd probably only be interested in backing a horse like that over $6. I just think that's the percentage play on that sort of style of horse. But you know, it's done nothing wrong this preparation. I'm giving that Careless Tower of Song as not a good form race.
Well, I was a bit slowly run. Dylan's Rojo certainly, you know, had his chance on the bunny, but he gets on the bunny here, and someone has to come and get him.
Winner
of this course and distance. He was another horse that had a monster spell, and it's taken a long time to get right.
I'm tipping Invincible on top. There you go.
Fair enough. Race 4, a highway, big numbers, but not many appealing types in this race, and we have to put up with a short price again about Madame de Ban, who's $3 this time with Bowman on board, $5.50 the unbeaten Ruthless Agent, and then we're out to $9 Circle Game, $11 the Dalmatia Prince, and then where are we going? $16 Bold Beginning, $17 Callaway Cruiser, $19 Viterbo Star, Eagles Dare, Grand Rouge, Explosive Scene. There's a few perennials here. I had Eagles Dare going well forward. Far Out, who I did inspect that Big Albert after you mentioned it on the previous show last week, and Far Out is Far Out. Anyway, he's a chance to be on speed. Explosive Scene raced handy at Taree the other day. Madame de Ban won't be too far away. And maybe Bold Beginning pushes on to try and get a spot, and Dalmatia Prince, who's only second up and has trialled since, can be expected to maybe push on and try and get a spot as well. Keen enough.
Yep.
How do you sort it out?
I was going to ask you, I didn't get a chance to interrogate the times of Ruthless Agent. Have you?
Okay.
Just okay. Because I was sort of against it. If I know it's 3 stunts for 3 wins, and I like to lightly race things coming into these highways, but
wrong stable.
It's not that. I mean, I love the fact that he's actually put Blake Shin on and not not his stable rider.
Heather Poland.
Yeah.
She only rides Exter.
Yeah.
Or did.
I sort of like a little bit bigger margins in what I consider weakish races if I'm going to entertain a short price coming to town, even though it is in a highway. I think Circle Game has a chance now.
So talk me through carried Bowman in this grade 2 starts back and looked to have every possible chance, and then just weakened out of the race in obviously a non-highway race the other day. But
okay, it's the right stable, and it does actually, it has shown form in its career that gives it the capacity to win this race, and I'm getting the odds to find out.
Okay.
The one I have on top is number 11, Matter Deban. I love the fact that now it's second start in Sydney this prep. It definitely has the right stable, definitely has the right jockey, and I do have a moderate opinion of this, and a moderate opinion would be enough to win this race. What price am I willing to take? I'm not quite sure, but I do have it on top. The other one that I was interested in was number 15, Dalmatia Prince, you mentioned already. I think getting close to Adam Eve on a sort of a shorter distance, obviously, freshen up trial, looks like a reasonably good setup, and G Buckley to Glenn Schofield.
Oh, Glenn won't like that.
What's that?
Glenn won't like that.
Oh, no, he won't. That. Well, I mean,
Anyway, we've established that G Schofield is a positive.
Yes.
Yeah, don't listen to that. Don't listen to Pollitt.
Yeah.
He's just dirty that he's Glenn and not Glenn.
Yeah, so they're the ones I'm interested in. So I'll probably be backing 10, 11 and 15 with 11 on top.
15 and possibly 3 for me, Grand Rouge, who was unable to compete there in an 1100 the other day, and is obviously a highway perennial. Madame de Barn has a good chance, but is very well found, and Circle Game, she's lost me.
Isn't Grand Rouge a wedding?
Yeah, there's no. I don't think there's anything to really hook into with this race. That's race 4. We'll do the 3-year-old, which is one of the more interesting races on the card, and then break for part 2. And the market sees Echo Effect favourite at $3.70, Australiana, highly touted gay runner, at $3.80. And then we have $6 Awoke, who's resuming, $6.50 Nepean, $13 the recently gelded and resuming Honey Wine, $16 Royal Navy, $16 the Pharaoh, $26 Henry the Creative, engaged at Kembla, and ditto Salsonic, who's not engaged at Kembla but is $26. Now, Australiana will be urgent here. K McAvoy, drawn 9 of 10, leaving Echo Effect, who didn't jump particularly well but is up from 12 to 14, to have to sit on his outside, and I think that does set the race up here. I don't know what you think, Gord. Maybe you're not concerned about that, but that did concern me with both those runners, and I was perhaps looking for something to come and get them.
Well, the something to come and get them is Awoke.
Yeah, she's one of them. Yeah.
Yet another horse that Glenn had a massive opinion. Now, the only question mark I have about it is only having the 900 metre trial after 119 days off. Is the stable back in form? I think it's showing that it's starting to get back to its usual status. Brent and Abdullah on board, and I mean there was $8 earlier, and I thought that was a lovely price on suspicion that it's the best horse and maps pretty well. The other
winner chicken dinner course and distance.
Yeah. Honey Wine, I was interested in as well. Like the fact it's had the 2 long trials. Don't care where the finishing positions were. It looked like to have a bit of style to me. Stable's flying. It's some sort of a chance at long odds for this particular stable. And we were both really impressed with Echo Effect's run first start, but I leaned against it here, and I don't know whether that is a mistake or not. I admit I was impressed with its first run back, and it has to have a good chance off that particular run, but I'll probably be backing 8 and 1.
Yeah, fair enough. Look, and what do you make of this? So agree with you, Echo Effect. I think great run, but to me, he's vulnerable tomorrow. Australiana, who just led and pissed off on them on the turn, a slowly run race. It's weird how he's never, like, his decision time trial's all right, but what if he's going to have a 1200 metre trial after his 1350 metre win? Why can't he be in the finish of that trial?
Well, that stable's not trialling like they used to. They're doing a little bit more funny stuff these days.
Which I'm not in favour of.
No, either am I. I thought she had a winning combination. I don't know why she switched it up. So, you know, it's a negative there. You know, obviously there are some lightly raced things here that have some sort of a chance. I mean, Nepean's win was all right as well, wasn't it? But where do I put those particular horses?
Yeah, I know. The pecking order is interesting. Look, I was certainly going to give Nepean a good chance here. I thought he's done all that he can do in his 2 runs. And horses like Celsonic and Royal Navy are lurkers' chances. They're both bludgers. They're just going to be last man standing possibilities.
And other horses first up, maybe not quite ready.
That's right. You mentioned the fact that Awokas are just is not really primed by that setup. And for mine, Honey Wine is going to be a Derby horse, and so looks a little bit dour here for me. The Pharaoh I didn't really consider. It's just tradesman like midweek stuff that didn't grab me, but certainly 5, 9 and 10 horses of interest here. That's the end of part 1 for an interesting Rosehill card. Unfortunately we're G Pollitt-less. He had the Australia Day leave pass, and we'll be back with part 2 of the quaddie, the legs of the quaddie.